First and foremost, I will expose you about the theory behind this experiment. This experiment followed the first law of thermodynamics, which defined energy cannot be destroyed or be created, but energy can be transformed from one form to another form. The first law of thermodynamics can be related the changing of the energy with the two kinds of transfer of energy, which is heat energy and internal energy. The formula of internal energy is delta U equals to Q minus W, where delta U implies the change in the internal energy of a closed system. Q implies the quantity of energy supplied to the system as heat, and W implies the amount of thermodynamic work done by the system on its surrounding. The objective of this experiment is to ensure that the total amount of energy in a closed system is remain constant. Second, to determine the temperature changes when the various types of material are used. And the last objective, which is to determine the changes of temperature by increasing the time taken to check the material. Okay. The hypothesis of this experiment included when the time taken to shake the material increase, the temperature will be increased too. The second one is the lower the density of the material, the greater the temperature changes.
So for now, I would like to introduce the material and apparatus that we will use in this experiment. So first is the digital thermometer. And I have put all the materials into the water bottle. This is the sand, flour, salt, oil, and oil. Now let's start the experiment. First we will measure the initial temperature of the sand, and we set the timer to 20 seconds. Okay, so we will take 26.5 degrees Celsius. Now let's start shaking the sand, and we set the timer to 3 minutes. Okay, so we will change to 20 seconds to take the final temperature. Now let's start. So the temperature we will use is 38.2. Let's repeat the experiment by using the salt. We use 20 seconds to take the initial temperature. Okay, so the temperature we will use is 25.8 degrees Celsius. Let's start the shaking process. Okay, now let's test for the final temperature. So the final temperature we will use is 28.1. Okay, now let's repeat the experiment again with flour. So, as usual, we test the initial temperature 20 seconds. So the temperature we will use is 25.5 degrees Celsius. Now let's start the shaking process. So now we'll take the final temperature. So So the final temperature of the flour after shaking is 26.5. So now we will repeat the experiment by using the odd. As usual, we take the initial temperature first. Okay, so the initial temperature we will use is 25.8. Okay, so now we'll start the shaking process. Now we will set the timer to 20 seconds again, so that we can take the final temperature. Okay, so the temperature we will take is 26.5 degrees Celsius. Okay, so now finally we have come to the last material, oil. Same thing, we measure the initial temperature first. So the initial temperature will be 25.7. So now let's start shaking for 3 minutes. Okay, so now we will take the final temperature. Set timer first. Okay. Start. Okay, so the final temperature will be 27.9. So for now, we are going to repeat the experiment for 6 minutes shaking.
6 minutes shaking.
Based on the result of the experiment, temperature change could be observed after we shake the bottle. According to the first law of thermodynamics, energy cannot be created or destroyed, but it can change its form to another form. In this case, the shaking process is the mechanical energy. It changes its form to kinetic energy that acts on the particle in the bottle. The particle in the bottle causing friction, which is produce heat, and then it causing the temperature difference. So the longer time we shaking the bottle, the higher the mechanical energy and the higher the temperature difference. In this experiment, we use 5 different materials so we could observe how density could affect the temperature difference. Based on our result, oil have the highest temperature difference while oat have the lowest temperature difference. So we conclude that the lower the density, the higher the temperature difference. In conclusion, the result of this experiment are accepted since it verify our hypothesis, which is the longer the time taken for the shaking process, the higher the temperature difference, and also the lower the density of the material, the higher the temperature difference. That's all from us.